Hello guys, Moiga here, and we're going to continue with the Pelley Cup playlist, and I'm going to show you my round 3 game. I played white against Joseph Kizito, and at the time he was the highest rated player or the highest seeded player in our category. So I started with e4 as my plan was for the tournament. He played c6 into the Karokan, and he played d4. He played d5, and I played my knight to c3. I'm not really sure about the name of this variation, but I find it very easy to play, and I like playing against Karokan because of this variation. So I took back with my knight, played bishop to f5, typical of this variation. I played my knight back to g3, chasing the bishop. And the bishop went back to g6, and I pushed h4. So this is all theory. This all theory has been played before, and really nothing new here. So he played h6, I played my knight to f3, played his knight to d7, developing, and I played my bishop to d3. Nowadays, because of this game, I actually don't know the theory of this opening really well, but of late I've been trying and experimenting some lines involving pushing h5 first, and after bishop to h7, now playing bishop to d3, which I think loses a tempo for black, and my pawn is more advanced on h5 in this variation. As you'll see in the game we played against Kizito, this is a very no, it's playable, and it's really something you can try and prepare and think about. So I played my bishop to d3 immediately. We traded, and he played knight to f6, knight g to f6, I mean. And okay, the thing about Karakan, and the thing I don't particularly like it, but particularly like about it from Black's point of view, is the develop. I really find the development for Black stagnant and really slow, because as you can see the position, I only have to move my bishop out of the way and castle queenside, or even castle kingside, and I'll be done with my development. While black still has to play e6, bishop to e7, maybe castle kingside, and try and build some sort of attack or some sort of push with c5, which is valid. That's why it's an opening that is playable, but it really goes against how I play my chess. I like challenging the center, and I like challenging the center immediately. So I don't particularly like it because of that reason. So he played knight gf6, and I played my bishop to e3. Bishop e3, bishop f4, all the same, I guess, because eventually you're going to move the bishop back to e3 or d2 after it's being attacked by a knight jump to d5. So he played d6, I castled, and he played his queen to a5. I just moved my king over, defending my pawn on a2, his pawn on a2, and the game continued. Bishop to d3, bishop to d6, I mean. And I didn't. Okay, I saw that he was trying to attack my knight, and possibly by exchanging his bishop for my knight, I'd have less of an attack on his king side. That's what I assumed. So I moved one of my knights away, and my idea was to stick this knight to c4 and change my angle of attack, and also bring the other knight somehow, maybe to e2, then to f4, and have this central grip that would have really helped me in outplaying him. So I played my knight back to d2. He saw the move coming, and he played his queen back to c7, and I brought my knight to the center, my knight to e4. He avoided trades because visibly he's the higher rated player with 1592. I was really low rated, and typically how people play tournaments in Kenya or tournaments in Nairobi, from what I've seen, is the higher rated players try to avoid uh, many exchanges in the opening, and they try to avoid end games, because they are most of the time drawish, and you still want to fight for something um, against a lower rated player. So I played my pawn to f3, supporting my knight, also preparing this advance of g4, maybe g5, and breaking open on his king side. So he played his knight to d5, aiding the other knight maybe in development by playing the other knight to f6, and also having some say in the center for himself, I guess. So I continued with my plan g4. He took my bishop, I took back, and he castled queenside because it's quite obvious that you if you castle kingside in this position as black, if you castle kingside here, there'll be a lot of pressure on this side because the pawns are already on the 4th rank, they're coming to the 5th rank, and white can easily open you up and checkmate you because the other rook will come to g1, the queen is already excellently placed on e3, eyeing the h6 square, also supporting the g5 push. The knight is also attacking f6, the knight is attacking g5. It's controlling a lot of squares on the king side, so it's really not advisable to castle where you're being attacked. So after the exchange in castle queenside, I brought my knight back to c3, trying to maneuver and trying to bring my knights to better squares. He played his king to b8, a waiting move, waiting to see what I was going to do. And I played my knight to b3, played king to a8, another waiting move, and here I saw the opportunity to strike because clearly the bishop on e7 is hanging. There's an x-ray attack on the bishop on e7. So if I find a way of attacking it, maybe by pushing d5, I mean, by pushing d5, and if the exchange happens, I also have the knight takes, and it will be a double attack on his queen and also his knight. His queen and also his bishop, I mean. So I played d5 immediately, played his queen to e5, and we got into this sort of position where the exchanges were kind of forced, and we got into this endgame where it was pretty equal, but black had chances, I thought. So we exchanged the knights, and I took his pawn, he took back, and I played my knight to d4. He played his rook back to b8, I pushed my pawn. It's playable to take the pawn on e6. Then after pawn takes on e6, I mean knight takes on e6, knight takes on f3. Or rather, after knight takes, you first start by taking on d1 with check because it's more forced. Then after the trade, you take on f6, and black has an attack on h4. Easy to defend it by pushing h5, or you can even decide to give up the h4 pawn and grab the g7 pawn yourself. But I didn't really like the chances here because I thought the game was drawish. It really didn't look good for me because ideas of rook d7 can be stopped easily by bishop to f6, and white doesn't really have that much to play for. It looks very drawish, and I opted, sorry, that's not the move. So I opted not to take it fast and to continue the game. So I played h5. He played his bishop to f6, dealing with the rook to d7 idea later on. So here I went for the trade. I took, and he took on f3, and I played my knight to e4. So after rook e8, there were several ideas brought forth, or the several ideas that I checked out using the engines, and they didn't really give me all that much to play for. I know black is somewhat better in this position, but I felt like my position was still okay, and white had something. At least I'd come out with a draw in this position if the very worst happened. So I took his bishop, he took my knight, and I played a knight to d7 check. He played his king to c7. I played my knight back to c5, attacking his rook. So he clearly had to move his rook, and he played rook to e1, and this immediately was when I saw this move, I was, because at this position I thought after playing this he could have played something like mm, maybe rook to e7 if you really want to play passively, or you can play rook to e2. But rook to e7 looks better because it stops the idea of playing rook to d7 check, and you're soon going to gather these pawns up as black and try and push for something with the outside passed pawns. But immediately he played his rook to e1 and I took back, and this position I'm now completely winning. It's all a matter of converting the endgame. Sorry about that. So I played knight to e6 check, took on g7. I came back and collected the other pawn. So he played his knight to h4, trying to stop any pawn pushes. I don't know, maybe I don't know why he played his knight to h4. So I started coming in with my king, continued coming in, and I played this knight check. I pushed the pawn, pushed it again, and I promoted to a queen, sacrificing my knight. But as you can clearly see in this position, my idea was to try and come up and shoulder his king away after the king goes to collect my knight. So I was going to shoulder him, and this is an endgame technique that is taught pretty much everywhere, and this was one of the techniques that I ever learned when playing king and pawn endgames. King and pawn endgames are so good for calculation. If you want to improve in your calculation, you must try and play king and pawn endgames because they really sharpen your calculation skills. So in this position, I came up, like, I started playing my idea, and I shouldered his king away from his pawns, and from here it was pretty much over for him. So at this position he resigned, and I won my second game of the tournament. So at this point I was with 2.5 points out of 3, and this was day one, and I thought it was a perfect conclusion to the day. I had beaten the top seed. I'd drawn the probably the strongest player in our category. We went on to win the tournament, but I had beaten them both, and I was feeling ecstatic about it. And yeah, it was an interesting game to say the least, because at one moment I thought that she was going to end up as a draw, but then always keep pushing and always keep uh, I'd, in other sports you'd be told to stay on your toes. It's almost the same thing in chess. Opportunities strike, and they really strike once in chess, and if you're not really ready to attack and ready to take advantage of it, you might suffer in the end. So in this position he resigned because there's probably nothing left for him to do than to wait for a checkmate. And yeah, the tournament continued. So tune in. Next I played I think Kevin Jiungu, my fourth round, and it was the next day in the morning. So stay tuned. Remember to subscribe, comment, and like if you find the video helpful, and yeah, let's keep the channel growing.